I am Choves, the author of Ugly Journalism, published in 2011. Ugly Journalism, inspired by the fact that at the time, and quite often, there are practices in journalism that don't honor the profession. And ugly journalism was and is all about the do-nots of journalism, things that should not happen in journalism. Because journalism is not sermonization. Journalism is not blackmail. Journalism is not sellout. Journalism is about good practices, the things that honor society, the things that help society to be able to make choicest decisions. But unfortunately, in the core, we also have people who pass for journalists who used to actually soil the image of the profession. People who were actually known to be blackmailers, intimidating, people who used to want to take sources hostage by promising dirty write-ups, dirty results if you did not comply. It means that they were doing some other thing and not journalism. That was all about what I used to call and what remains to be called ugly journalism. And since it was published, a few years after, since 2011, there's less and less of this practice, meaning that there's an impact. Just talking about it, just the fact that the public is aware of what ugly journalism is, and that it is about us journalists practicing the odd things, the ugly things that we do, the fact that even the public is aware and the sources are aware, so sources now know that some of us, when we come to them, they can easily detect ugly journalism in some of the things that we do. And that is why there's less and less of those ugly practices. And I think that it is one of the major ways into the future of shaping beautiful journalism, of shaping what is beautiful and what is good and correct about practice. And I think that given what some of us are doing individually and collectively as institutions, as associations, we are trying to reform and try to improve on practice. Because just the fact that our association constitutions are beginning to define and clarify who is a journalist and who is not, is also trying to help matters. Trying to be able to do a selective choice of who should practice and who should not actually works in our favor in trying to clean the sector for a better and brighter future. So my practice of journalism has spanned over 38 years until I effectively retired from official practice. But I retired from official practice into private practice because now I run a tabloid called The News. After officialdom in practice, I'm into private practice as the publisher of The News newspaper. To achieve in journalism, you have to be humble, you have to be modest. Humility pays. And more importantly, it is not about self. It's about the fact that you are serving a public. So you are an educator, you are an informer. You are one who is supposed to give hope to society. And so it is not about you, it is about the profession. And once you put yourself as a servant, you can always achieve. I cannot also forget to indicate that by God's grace, and maybe by hard work and humility, I've been privileged in practice to the effect that I have traveled. I have covered the Africa Cup of Nations. I have covered, in fact, I've been to about over 20 countries around Africa and the world, all about practice. Summarily, I have been to some of the most prestigious places I remember that when Pope John Paul II was visiting Cameroon, I reported from the Vatican. That to me is a privilege. I have been to Hiroshima, where we know about the bomb in World War II. I have been to the ashes of the Hiroshima bomb, which is now the Center for Peace. I have been to the White House, where a few of us had the privilege of discussing one-on-one with American President Barack Obama. That to me was a privilege, sponsored by the U.S. State Department. In fact, I have been across the world, and there's nothing more than that to count yourself a blessing. It was not about finances, but the pleasure of being recognized that you're offering services that can also help you travel.